Well, good Australian morning to you all. If you see my last video, we've got something to talk about, it seems. According to the comments, some of you have, different opinions. Some very large opinions. Just thought I'd highlight them because, well, really, they're the main reason I started this whole thing. I could spend my entire life having this one opinion about a subject in my head and have that influence every single thought I have towards that subject. Or I could blurt out that opinion on the internet and have everyone tell me how much of a heaping pile of fecal matter I am, and therefore grow and blossom into a beautiful studly flower. Basically, to summarize, a lot of people believed that I was very ignorant towards the effect of miscarriage and how it would affect a person. And to that I say, you're absolutely right. I have no experience of it. I definitely didn't research when I read the story about how it can affect people. I mean, I could have, but also, I'm lazy. And hey, look, you're here to tell me where I was wrong, so thank you. I still feel she has the responsibility to tell him regardless. However, I will absolutely respect the difficulty in trying to do that. I do believe she's valid to have this fear. And I can understand, depending on how it was to experience that from your partner, that yeah, you can be kind of scared to confront your partner about it. But to stop dragging this on, thank you Rye and Phantom Fails and everyone else who left a comment telling me how much of an a-hole I was. Ooh, I've been reading so many a-hole stories that I have become one. Anyway, today's stories. Here they are. As always, if you do enjoy today's content and you have your own differing thoughts, leave them down below, like this video, and subscribe if you'd like to see more on the daily. Okay, let's go. Our first story. Am I the a-hole for not letting a trans woman give a motivational talk to underprivileged girls? I currently work at an inner-city school with some very underprivileged kids, mostly due to financial status. I will avoid race here. We are planning a motivational event for the girls since the amount of bullying and family abuse they endure is insane, and we want to show them that they can overcome it. So, I found some amazing ladies already, but it wasn't enough, so I put a post on my social media asking if anyone knew some inspiring ladies that arose from bad conditions and thrived, that would be willing to talk to young girls. One of my friends immediately commented, "Yes, of course. What day and time is the event? I'll clear my schedule." I replied, "Sorry, we are looking for people who have the experience of being underprivileged or oppressed young women." And, well, all hell broke loose. I'll call the friend, or rather acquaintance, Dana, for clarity's sake. I went to school with Dana. She is trans and came out at 25, early 30s now. But Dana was never oppressed. Her parents are rich, she was an extremely popular kid, she bullied others, she had college paid fully, as a trust fund. When she came out, she transitioned quickly and with amazing results. Right out of college, she started working at her dad's company. She makes big money now, and does fitness modeling on the side. The kids I work with are girls raised by single moms, girls who never knew their parents, girls abused by their family members, girls who can't afford menstrual pads, girls whose entire family never even entered college campus or graduated high school. Dana has definitely worked hard, but simply, well, she is rich and she never experienced what it is to grow up as an underprivileged girl. I commented something like that, but more polite, but at this point Dana made her own post calling me a transphobe, and we, school and I, are facing so much backlash and we are considering cancelling the event altogether. Wow, Dana, way to make this all about you. But also, why not? Sure, she had an amazing head start, but she'd still have some great insight into what it takes to be someone who's successful. Considering the stuff a lot of trans people have to deal with, I'm sure that while she has a lot of money behind her, she's had to develop a lot of mental fortitude that I'm sure your kids would appreciate learning about. Not the a-hole. As a trans person from related privileges, I would recognize that as not the place for the economically privileged to speak. You are the a-hole. It makes no sense to publicly solicit volunteers and then refuse one you don't feel is worthy. Big frick up. Yeah, you're the a-hole for specifically asking for disadvantaged volunteers, but not specifying that when you mean underprivileged, you mean financially underprivileged. Obviously, a trans woman is underprivileged just by not being cisgender. Now, I don't know why you're under the assumption that being trans is easy if you have money and a college education. Trans women face violence and discrimination at astounding rates compared to cis women. It's fine if you have a very specific type of volunteer in mind, but don't pretend that your friend is somehow the peak example of privilege with nothing valuable to share. Well, everyone sucks here because her posting sounds bad, but also you are not good in how you worded your request. Not wanting someone from financial means is fine, but you don't sound like you were clear about that in your post. Bad conditions could mean a lot of things. You then also use the word oppressed, and I feel like most trans people, even privileged ones, do have some kind of oppression at some point in their lives, and this is a common thing people say. So saying Dana doesn't have the experience of being an oppressed young woman, not underprivileged, makes it kind of sound like you don't feel like Dana was a young woman because she was presenting as a boy at their age, which could feel very invalidating to her. Not the a-hole, and it sounds like she's absolutely using her privilege to shut you down. Despite what I said, I'm still gonna go with not the a-hole. But you are still the a-hole for how you explained your position. You could have easily private messaged her and just said because of her financial upbringing. That is the reason why you don't want her to come and speak. The fact you brought up her being transgender in your post makes it seem like that was your first immediate thought to say no to. And while I can understand where you're coming from, it is still quite ignorant to say. After all, how do you know exactly when she started feeling like she belonged into being a woman? Also, there's the fact too, what if there are some girls in that underprivileged group who are exactly like Dana? I absolutely agree with the vetting process when it comes to volunteer speakers, as not everyone is qualified to speak. But I imagine you are more familiar with Dana than any of us, so for all we know, she might be more inclined to just brag about her success stories in life rather than offering actual advice and help. Next story by Aquascope. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that I won't take another pregnancy test? Background here. My boyfriend and I are both in our early 20s. I'm still in college while he graduated this year and is now working. I don't plan on having any kids while my boyfriend wants kids, but only when he's in his 30s. Last week, I didn't get a proper period, but I did have signs of spotting and light droplets of blood. I decided to be honest and told boyfriend about it. He was okay at first, but then he started to worry. Claimed he had trouble sleeping from being anxious all day, and asked if I could take a pregnancy test. I got a pregnancy test pen, forgot to take it the next morning, and he acted very passive-aggressive. I then argued that it'll be much more accurate to wait a week after my missed period because the levels of the HCG will accumulate if I wait longer, and that if he insisted I test it right away, I won't take another pregnancy test since I'd rather just wait a week to get one single accurate result. He said yes to doing it right away, and that if it came back negative, he won't bother me about it again. So I took the test the next morning. It came back negative. And the boyfriend accepted that result and they lived happily ever after. He didn't bring it up again. Yep. Today he texted again to ask if I got my period yet. I said no, and he suggested ultrasound or blood test, which each costs about 18 USD and 70 USD in my country. I said I won't do another pregnancy test because I've already tested one. He wanted me to do it 2 days after my missed period, and the procedures he just suggested would be expensive. He replied, oh, here we go. Well, here's the thing, OP. I don't think you're very responsible. I wouldn't be worried if you were careful with your body and knew how to take care of it, but you said that the test should be taken 1 week after period. I researched several websites, and it turns out you were wrong. It's not that I'm paranoid. I just don't trust you, and I don't believe you would take this seriously. So you're paranoid. Imagine the moment you realize you're dating I've done my research. I then pulled up a website and showed him 2 quotes. Unfortunately, taking the test early may give you a negative result, even if you are pregnant. For example, if your cycles range from 30 to 36 days, the best time to take a test will be 37 days or later. He replied, oh, buddy, stop. I really can't. Now I'm thinking you don't even read properly. And referred to the second quote. You know what or means? It means if you have a 36-day cycle, you should do it on day 37 for 99% accuracy. And I still, for the love of God, can't figure out the logic behind it, because it didn't even imply that the test will be most accurate the day right after a missed period. At this point, I'm beyond ticked off, because he kept insisting that I got it wrong, and that he didn't trust me. I told him I need to go study, and he needs to research properly and leave me alone for now. He replied, learn how to read, so I blocked his message temporarily out of anger. So am I the a-hole? I'm willing to admit if I'm in the wrong. And I could get another pregnancy test if I want to, but I doubt that'll make him stop worrying until I have my period again. Okay, come on, just confess. How many of his friends did you sleep with? Was it 2, 7? Or did you sleep with his dad maybe? Did you turn his mum gay? I'm just trying to figure out why he is like this. He seems so educated about your biology, yet I guarantee he doesn't get his prostate checked. Not the a-hole. I can understand your boyfriend being anxious, but bloody hell, there is no excuse for what has come out of his mouth. He is controlling and abusive. He can't wait a couple more days to be accurate. If you are pregnant, what will knowing a few days earlier do for either of you? And to tell you that he doesn't trust you and you don't take care of yourself. Just know. You need a man who you can count on, especially in emergency situations. Somebody who you know you can trust to carry his weight and have your back. This flake sounds like he would fall apart in an emergency. I completely disagree. This man sounds like he'd be perfect in emergency situations. You need an ambulance, he will be vetting those paramedics like crazy. He will be checking their credentials. He will be Googling everything they say to verify its truth. He will be making sure you're getting access to the best of the best Oh, you flatlined. Not the a-hole. Your boyfriend sounds like one though. He basically blamed you for potentially getting pregnant as though you got yourself pregnant via mitosis, and he had nothing to do with it. He's also repeatedly undermined your judgment in a way that is quite frankly condescending and disrespectful. Yeah, look, now you know me, I'm not a fan of telling people to leave their partners on every single Reddit post. But if the gender spectrum here was switched around, this dude would be complaining that you're being a crazy girlfriend. There's some insecurity in him that he needs sorting out. Next story by Rosie Flower. Am I the a-hole for never acknowledging my sister? Let me tell a little backstory. My sister has smoked and drank practically my whole life. I always ignore her and don't talk to her. When people ask me how many siblings I have, I usually don't include her because I'm embarrassed that she's my sister. So you don't want to come across as the a-hole, you understand that, right? The other day, she came into my room and told me she needed my phone, and I told her no. She was pretty mad and asked me, "Why are you being so selfish?" And I just told her to leave my room. She stormed out of my room and was just being overall rude for trying to take my phone from me, actually trying to grab it. My mother does nothing about her smoking or drinking, and I've mentioned it to my sister, and she acts like she doesn't care or even hear me. She's always yelling at me and saying I've ruined her life. So, am I the a-hole? Yeah, everyone sucks here. Addiction is a real problem, and the main factor of addiction is usually the feeling of isolation. So honestly, you isolating your sister more is making matters worse. You don't owe her anything, but goodness, treat her like she's a person. Your parents not parenting either of you makes them a-holes, and your sister is an a-hole for having no accountability or responsibility for her actions. Yes, you're the a-hole because she is a human who deserves the minimum amount of respect. Start saying hi and bye. If you don't want to talk about her, don't. If you don't want to talk to her, don't. But don't be an a-hole. She smokes and drinks. She's not murdering anyone. She's not a molester. And she doesn't beat you up or steal from you. Well, I mean, she kind of did. Other thoughts on the fence, though? Not the a-hole. She is just rude. It's your stuff, and she has no right to take it. Yeah, that was the only person on the other side of the fence. Depending on the ages of these people, I'm going to say the parents are the real a-holes. OP's behavior should be nipped in the bud ASAP. Assuming they're putting in any sort of effort to help their child with her smoking and drinking addiction, they'd know that the way OP is treating her sister is directly affecting the girl's ability to recover. I'd actually really love to see the parents treat the OP like the way she treats her sister. See how the ghosting feels on her end, how it feels for her parents to not reference her at all because they're embarrassed by her. Like, don't get me wrong, I get having real toxic family members can make your life hell if you don't set boundaries against them. But with this story, it really sounds like you, OP, are the toxic family member. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my dog back to her old owners? The title is such a simplification. Okay, so 6 years ago, me and my aunt took in a dog in need of a home. Daisy was just a year old, a chihuahua, and it was originally supposed to be a temporary situation. Well, one day, the lady we got her from came to my work, a neighborhood store, and told me she would not be getting Daisy back. She was fine with us and flourishing. Fine with us. Daisy's a sweet girl, a little domineering towards our other dog, more of a I'm the boss attitude, really, and they get on well. We got her microchipped and eventually got her fixed. Not before my aunt bred her, didn't go easy, which is why she finally got her fixed. Now we have Daisy, Boo, and Daisy's daughter Lulu. FYI, all names of dogs changed. Well, about a year ago, I changed jobs, but right before that, I ran into Daisy's former family. The daughter asked how Daisy was, first time in 6 years, and then I stated, I want my dog back. She's not yours anymore. We've had her for 6 years. She's ours now. The look her mum, original owner, gave me was just hard to describe. But honestly, it's been 6 years and you're trying to ask for her back. The woman messaged me on Facebook and chewed me out, saying I was an a-hole for how I responded, and I could have been kinder. Then tried to ask me if they could stop by and see Daisy. I said no way. I do feel badly at how I responded. Been thinking I could have worded it better, but it just came out of nowhere and I was surprised. Am I the a-hole? You're definitely not the a-hole, but your aunt is an a-hole for backyard breeding. Opie responds, yeah, I can't argue with you there. Thankfully Daisy and Lulu are both healthy. They're all spayed now. Sounds like they got lucky and ended up in a great home with you in the end, though. Natar, it's 6 years. That isn't even remotely their dog. Not sure how they thought that would fly. Not the a-hole. Someone gave me a dog because they were going to move. A month later, that didn't end up moving and wanted her dog back. I said no. Once you give up your pet, it's no longer yours. Okay, but we need to backtrack this for a second. Unless the OP is leaving out some critical information of what people said, all the mother did was call you out for being an a-hole in your response to the daughter wanting to have her dog back. Now, rightfully, it is yours now. There is no way to justify giving the dog back after 6 years of you owning it. But nowhere did the mother also say she deserves the dog back. The only semblance of that is asking if they could at least see Daisy. She was willing to at least compromise, to just let her daughter see Daisy, but also accept that you are Daisy's owner now. You're definitely the a-hole for rejecting this daughter's chance to see her old dog. Considering you can just bump into them like this, obviously it's not out of your way for them to visit. Okay. How did I do this time? Was I still an a-hole? Was I completely wrong in half the stuff I said? Please tell me. In all seriousness though, thank you for sticking by to the end. I love it when you come this far. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something right. Or I've done something completely wrong and you've waited until the end of the video to really let me know how much of an absolute see you in the Northern Territory I am. Regardless, please like this video if you found the content engaging. Don't necessarily have to agree with everything I say, but if it was at least engaging, really pulling at straws here to justify it. Hopefully I persuaded you to subscribe as well. But other than that, guys, my name's been Jack. You've been a lovely person to ramble at, as always. Love your faces. Again, thank you so much for sticking by, and I'll see you for the next one. Tally-ho!